there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the guaranteed rent and rent-to-rent community with regard to wage standards. I mean, obviously, the PRS have done a bit because we obviously offer redress for rent-to-rent, for rent-to-rent companies.
Well, I think there are 2 or 3 problems there. One is that you've got agents who've set up guaranteed rent schemes, and many of those schemes are incredibly poorly worded. You're never quite clear if the agent isn't acting as the agent, but underwriting the rent, or if they are in fact renting the property and renting it on. And some of the agents in that area are not very good, and probably not the kind of agents you would want to join the PRS for sure.
Yes.
And then you've also got the rise of what I think we can only reasonably call property gurus.
The Barbar crowd.
These people who have fascinating websites, they sell courses, and I'm carefully not going to name names because many of them are somewhat litigious.
Yes, definitely.
And sue for libel, and I don't fancy being sued this week, sorry. Some of them, allegedly, it has been asserted, say things like people can make money from property with no money down. And,
yes, of course.
And the difficulty is that some of those people are acting incredibly unscrupulously. So they are...
they're selling the courses. And of course, a lot of these people... Sorry to interrupt, but a lot of these people that are doing it, they're going in these courses. A lot, they don't have any money. And I've been involved in this industry for such a long time. And David, and Eddie, managing an HMO is the hardest thing ever, and managing property. These guys have got no experience of property management. They don't know about HMO licensing. They don't know about the legislation, and everything about dealing with conflicts. And of course, a lot of the time they don't pass the money over as well.
Yeah, they're given an incredibly false picture of the law, and then what they're often encouraged to do is actually go and rent from completely innocent, unknowing landlords, saying they're going to live there themselves.
Yes, sublet.
And then sublet the property as an HMO,
yes.
and so. One of the main reasons that the NRLA was quite concerned about this argument is they felt it was potentially very unfair on landlords who had let a property perfectly, reasonably to someone that they believe was going to live there themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
To be suddenly faced with the threat of prosecution, the threat of a civil penalty with the local authority, but then also faced with the threat of a rent repayment order from a subtenant that they knew nothing about, had no connection with, and had never authorised to be there. And I think, the reason this case actually is very interesting right now, of course, is the Supreme Court turns around and says, well, let's leave it for Parliament. But lo and behold, Parliament has an opportunity right here, right now, to act because the Renters Reform Bill is marching over the horizon, they're possibly before Easter.
Yeah.
And it's possible the government will put something in the bill on its face as it hits Parliament, but I suspect it's more likely that one or more amendments will be tabled either by the government or by the opposition to seek to fix the outcome in Rackeston and Jepson. And of course there are a couple of different fixes which will have varying levels of acceptability.
So the bottom line is with this is with all of these things, and we have it with tenancy deposit protection when we went back to the super strike issue as well, all those years ago. The landlord is ultimately responsible. So they don't buy an HMO, they don't register an HMO licence with the local authority. Ultimately, the landlord is the head landlord is ultimately responsible.
In a rent-to-rent situation, if your tenant, who is then subletting, doesn't have an HMO licence, then you are responsible to the local authority in respect of prosecution or civil penalties. You are not currently responsible to the occupier in respect of rent repayment order. And there is reasoning behind that. I mean, part of the reasoning behind that was precisely to prevent landlords fake subletting to a company or a shell company or a sham individual. And then letting it on and saying, nothing to do with me, Chief. So there was a rationale behind it. At times it has been harshly applied to some landlords, but obviously it is important that people have a close eye on what is going on in their property.